This is the second of 3 short videos on the obvious discrepancy between words and action about what this administration wants to do about violent crime. The first one was about the obvious discrepancy between January 6th of 4 years ago and January 20th of 2025. If you didn't see that, check out the video. But a lot of people think that our president's policy of sending National Guard troops into cities is proof that he cares about violent crime. But I'll have to say, with a little bit of fact checking on my part, I'm not so sure that's really what that's about. Regarding the first reason, I don't really think that sending the National Guard into cities is about fighting violent crime. I need to ask a rhetorical question. Does anyone think that the National Guard are the right people to be sending into cities to do police work? I mean, I love the National Guard. It's a great organization. I know people in it, but I don't think they're trained in police work. And if you're a National Guard person and you've been trained in police work, please leave a comment. There's already been situations where the National Guard apprehended somebody and that person had to get released because of improper police procedures, improper search, that sort of thing, especially when you consider the expense. One report had it that it's costing $1 million a day to have the National Guard in Washington. So super expensive, and I'm not sure it's actually effective in actually catching criminals. Now, there is a visible deterrent effect of having the National Guard there. And let me give you an example to show you what I mean by that. Now, apparently carjacking is on the list of violent crimes now. I don't know why. I used to jack up my car all the time, and I never got in trouble for it. But if I was in Washington and got a flat tire, wanted to fix it, but didn't want to go to jail, and I looked over on the corner and I saw a couple of people with uniforms and guns, I might just say, I'll come back later, or maybe I'll come back tonight, or maybe I'll even have it towed home and do it under cover darkness in my backyard so I don't get caught. Whatever. So there is a visible deterrent effect that's going to suppress crime, but that's temporary. As soon as those folks are gone, that crime that they're suppressing is going to come back. Are you going to commit to spending $1 million a day just to suppress crime? I bet there's tons of municipalities that would rather have a little scrap of that $1 million a day to bolster their own police departments or maybe spend on violence prevention programs, and that would be a lot more effective. Interestingly about that, earlier in this administration, they actually held or cut funds for local police departments and violence prevention programs. Now, I tried to fact check whether those have gotten released or not. I couldn't find it. If anyone knows, you can leave a comment. So super expensive, not terribly likely to have a long-term effect. And this is a reason why I question whether this is really about fighting violent crime. Well, somebody's going to point out they have caught a lot of criminals, and that's true. They actually have apprehended many people, mostly misdemeanors and immigration offenses, but there have been some felonies and some violent criminals caught. But even then, I doubt that's really from the National Guard. A lot of people don't realize that in addition to the National Guard, the administration sent a whole truckload of federal law enforcement officers to bolster the Washington, D.C. Police Department. And I suspect that most of the real apprehensions are because of those folks, not because of the National Guard. So very expensive, probably ineffective, and at the very least, very inefficient way to try and do something. Causes me to really question whether this administration is serious about fighting violent crime. So there's another even more obvious reason why it doesn't look to me that this whole thing about the National Guard is really about fighting violent crime. But for that, you got to check out the next video. Thanks for watching.